Only after my death did I know that my archenemy had a secret crush on me. My soul was floating in the air. My corpse was unclaimed. And my family was indifferent. Only Ian, who had been fighting with me for more than 10 years, had red-rimmed eyes from crying and helped me collect my body while cursing, "Why Yushu? Leo. I didn't even have time to kiss you. Who the fuck allowed you to die?" Death let me peek into Ian's 10-year-long secret love. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in my freshman year. I rushed to Ian's dormitory. "Ian." "Open the door. I'm here to kiss you." "One hello. Are you Leo's parents? Could you come and claim the body?" The two people who received the call didn't care. Their expressions were even a little cold. "Leo? I'm sorry. We only have one son named Max in our family." After hanging up the phone, the middle-aged couple was a little angry. We should never have recognized him back in the first place. All he does every day is make trouble. Now he even dares to play such a joke. It would be better if he really died outside. Max pretended to be worried and asked, "Could it be true? What if something happened to my brother? After all, my brother always likes to fight with others." Ryan, sitting beside him, gently comforted him. "Jason, you are just too kind. Leo can do anything to attract attention. How dare he really die? Maybe he is hiding somewhere watching us, hoping to see our worried looks, and then laugh happily." I was floating in the air, quietly watching all this. I am Leo, the so-called real young master who was said to be extremely evil in their mouths, malicious and ruthless, and would do anything to compete for favor. Leo, who deserved to die outside. My biological parents, my eldest brother, and even my fiancé were all present. But none of them went to verify the authenticity of that phone call. They all thought that I deserved to die and also hoped that I would die. Because in their eyes, there was only that kind-hearted adopted son, named Max, and I was the most hated person. So, I really did as they wished. Suicide is a very painful but exciting thing, because you can feel the blood flowing in your body, and the feeling of life fading away little by little. I lay calmly in the bathtub, watching the blood flowing out of my wrists until I fainted. I would wake up in the middle, but it was so painful that I fainted again. After several repetitions, I finally died. After my death, my soul was floating above my body and couldn't go anywhere. So boring. So hungry. I want to eat an apple. I had been to every corner of the room, but still couldn't go anywhere. 5 days passed. It was the weekend, the day to collect the rent. The landlord had been calling and knocking on the door, but no one could answer. A moment later, he chose to call the police. "I'm sorry, landlord. I dirtied your house, but I really have nowhere to go." I left all my money to the landlord as compensation for accidentally dying in his house, which was enough for him to buy several more houses like this. I was awakened by the roaring siren. Looking at the people all over the room, I was both surprised and happy. Could I finally go out? A white light flashed, and I appeared in Max's family, floating in the air in the form of a soul. I looked at the happy family without any ripples in my heart. When could I disappear? I didn't want to see this family anymore. 2 in the past few days. The police had tried to contact my parents to claim the body many times, but they still didn't believe it and even cheered for my death. Dead? Good that he's dead. It saves all the trouble. My eldest brother Ryan, who had been in the business field for many years, couldn't see through all of Max's little tricks, but instead hated me to the bone. From now on, no one will compete with Jason anymore. Everything in the Max family belongs to Jason, my former fiancé, who had taken good care of me in every way. Smiled and hugged Max in his arms. He's dead. Finally. We can be together openly. Isn't it just a corpse? Just drag it away, and find a place to bury it. Why keep calling them? Making me hear their curses over and over again even after I'm dead? The police finally gave up. I thought my ears could finally be quiet for a few days. But in the next moment, I suddenly moved to the scene again. They actually called Ian, who was on a business trip abroad. My arch-enemy. The arch-enemy who had been fighting with me for more than 10 years. I didn't expect that it would be him who would come to collect my body in the end. I shouted at him. Hey. Ian. I'm warning you. Don't laugh at me. Otherwise, when I go to see King Yama, I will sue you. As expected, Ian couldn't hear anything. He expressionlessly quickly dealt with the scene, claimed my body back, and arranged my funeral. I followed Ian all the way, muttering, Ian, I don't want a coffin. Coffins are too ugly. I want to be cremated. Remember to scatter my ashes in the sea. Got it? And for my funeral, don't let anyone from the Max family come. I don't want to see them. Ian, if you can hear me, just take a breath. Unfortunately, Ian couldn't hear anything, but it seemed that he had heard everything, and everything was done according to my requests. Simple, quick, and without any fuss. Ian had taken care of everything. 3 After a simple funeral, Ian, who hadn't rested for days and nights, could finally go home and have a good sleep. I followed him and floated into his house. The style of Ian's house was the same as himself. Dull and interesting gray-black. I sat on his precious sofa for a while, and then fiddled around in his kitchen for a while. There were so many delicious things, but unfortunately, I couldn't eat any of them. Finally, I followed Ian into his bedroom. After entering the bedroom, Ian seemed to have all his strength drained and collapsed directly onto the bed. I wandered aimlessly in his bedroom, floating around, walking up to his bookcase. I suddenly found that the only thing I seemed to be able to touch was a craft paper notebook. Driven by curiosity, I opened the first page. It's sunny. Today is the first day of officially meeting Leo. He doesn't remember me at all. It's cloudy. It rained today. Leo didn't bring an umbrella. I was just about to give him mine. But he strode into the rain. On the 900th day of knowing Leo. He's in love. He has someone he likes. And that person isn't me. It's sunny but with heavy rain. Leo got engaged. As long as he's happy. I looked at the notebook in shock. It recorded every day of Ian and me knowing each other. To be precise, it was Ian's unrequited love story. At this time, a faint sobbing sound suddenly came from behind. I turned around. Ian was crying softly towards the ceiling. I was so anxious that I shouted at Ian, Ian, why are you crying? I never saw you cry when I was alive. Now that I'm dead, I can really open my eyes. But Ian couldn't stop crying and gradually cried out loud. And finally broke down into a wail. I was so anxious that I scratched my ears and cheeks. But I couldn't touch the person in front of me no matter what. Finally, I could only sit silently beside Ian and start sighing about life. Ian, you're the first person to cry for me. Look, people always develop feelings after being together for a long time, right? But why didn't they? Before I was 18, I hadn't seen my parents. After 18, my biological parents didn't believe me. My eldest brother hated me. And my aunt didn't truly love me. My whole life has been such a failure. Ian finally stopped crying. His eyes were red and swollen from crying. And his hair was very messy. Completely different from the meticulous man he usually was. I watched him numbly walk to the table and pick up that notebook. His slender fingers gently stroked the photo on it and murmured in a low voice, Leo, I didn't even have time to kiss you. Who the hell allowed you to die? Leo, are you stupid? You committed suicide for those unworthy people. Is your head full of water? I seemed to have left a suicide note. Only Ian had read it. But I didn't leave him a single word. Why couldn't you wait for me for 2 more days? I would have been back in 2 days. Why didn't you leave me even a single word? Are you blaming me for not coming back earlier? I'm sorry. Leo. I won't scold you anymore in the future. Come back. Okay? Leo. I like you. I've liked you for a full 10 years. For 10 years. I had always regarded him as my sworn enemy. I had never thought that he had such feelings for me. In high school, we didn't get along. He was an excellent student, and the class monitor. But I was a delinquent teenager, skipping classes and getting into fights all the time. He and I, a favored son of heaven, were be doomed to not on the same path. Although he didn't know that he was the target of the love letter. I had liked this person once. He reported me when I got into fights. And he watched over me when I skipped school. My first puppy love was also caught by Ian. Finally, when we got to college, he and I were admitted to the same school and the same major. Ian's voice rang out. Leo, do the words you just said still count? Fine. Just take your time to think about it. I'll wait for you. I can wait as long as it takes. 6. I walked downstairs and saw Jason standing in the middle of a row of heart-shaped candles, holding a bunch of flowers. So cheesy. When he saw me appear, a hint of surprise flashed in Jason's eyes. He handed the flowers to me. Leo, you're finally here. I like you. I don't care about your gender. I've been deeply in love with you since the first time I saw you. Are you willing to give me a chance to be with you forever? Oh. The words of confession are also extremely cheesy. It's so disgusting. The flowers are also ugly. He has no taste at all. I didn't take his flowers. Instead, I put my hands in my pockets and looked down at him. Jason. It's human nature to like excellent and handsome people. But being in a relationship is a matter for two people. Not only do you need to see what kind of person the other party is, but also see if you are worthy of it first. After saying that, I turned around and wanted to leave. But then I turned back and added a stinging comment. Oh. I forgot to tell you that your flowers are also extremely ugly. The onlookers who were watching the drama also stopped their noise. The people Jason had brought to cheer him on looked embarrassed and didn't dare to shout out "Be together." But there were still people whispering. How could he reject someone in public like that? He has no manners at all. It's so unlucky to like him. Exactly. His face is so arrogant. At this time, a person in the crowd stood up to speak for Jason. Brother Leo. Brother Jason likes you and treats you so well. He even saved you. How can you say such things to him? It was the White Lotus Max. I glanced at him. I'm not a junk collector. Jason, who had been rejected by me in public, immediately lost his temper and threw the flowers violently on the ground. Leo, you're just relying on your good looks. What are you so proud of? Aren't you an orphan? You can't compare to the young master of the Max family at all. He's rich and kind. I was really blind to like you. The surrounding chatter stopped. Look. I'm the one who is more unlucky to be liked by Jason. Okay? Max's face turned a bit pale, with malice and jealousy hidden in his eyes. The fact that I was retrieved by the Max family hasn't been made public yet. He is the fake young master, and I am the real one. Only the two of us know about it. Without caring about other people's gazes, I walked back to the dormitory with my head held high, leaving Jason alone there to lose face. As soon as I reached the corridor, I saw a familiar figure. He was hiding here and secretly watching what had just happened downstairs. I walked closer. How are you thinking about it? Ian looked at me intently. What should I do to court you? I haven't courted anyone before, and don't know how to do it. I waved my hand. It's very simple. As long as it's you. Besides, don't you already know what I like? Surely you can't do the things you used to do, like urging me to study, catching me, reporting and deducting points. People were all scared away by you. Okay? I have now understood Ian's good intentions. In high school, I gave up my studies to earn money. I was even working a few months before the college entrance examination. It was Ian who dragged me back to school and supervised my studies so that I could be admitted to college. All he did was to drag me forward and let me move towards the right path. 7. The next day was Saturday. The Max family sent a car to pick us up and take us home. The driver picked up Max first. He sat in the car waiting for me, in front of outsiders. He always pretended to be a well-behaved person. "Brother, you're finally here. We can go home together." I ignored him and got into the car on my own. I closed my eyes all the way and refused to have any communication with him. When we arrived at the Max family, Max ran to his parents first and acted cockathy. "Mom and Dad, we're back." My biological parents looked at him affectionately. "Jason, you're back from school. Come in quickly. We've cooked a table of your favorite dishes today." Suddenly realizing that I, their biological son, was still left aside, they looked at me guiltily. "Leo has just come back. We don't know what you like to eat either. We'll definitely remember to ask you in advance next time." "Mom." Max secretly glared at me, but quickly changed into an innocent look. "Brother, don't blame Mom and Dad. It's because my stomach is too fragile. So the diet is mainly based on my preferences." I followed them into the Max family. Everything was just as I remembered. In my previous life, as soon as I was recognized and brought back home, I had all kinds of quarrels with Max. He would always frame me and pour all the dirty water on me. Max was very good at pretending to be innocent and pitiful, while I was like an ignorant and unruly second-generation heir, always causing trouble and never repenting. Gradually, everyone began to dislike me, and the initial pity had disappeared completely. Now that I've died once, who can't pretend to be a white lotus? "Dad. Mom. I'm fine. Since I was a kid, I haven't had any delicious food. I don't even recognize these dishes at home. They are all my younger brother's favorites. But it's okay. I've endured hunger for 18 years. As a grown-up boy, I don't care about missing these few meals." Max's father and mother exchanged a glance. After asking about my favorite flavors, they turned around and ordered the kitchen to redo the dishes. I ate the food I liked happily, while Max was almost furious inside, but still had to pretend to be very happy on the surface. In the evening, big brother Ryan came back from work very late. Max, like a sweet little cotton padded jacket, ran up to Ryan. "Big brother, you're back. Jason missed you so much." Ryan rubbed his hair. Big brother missed Jason too. When Max passed by me, he glanced at me proudly and complacently. He grew up with Ryan since childhood, and this big brother dotes on him the most. However, I had no feelings for Ryan and just gave a perfunctory fake greeting. "Big brother, you're back." He also casually hummed in response, not being very close to me. His own younger brother, after washing up, I lay on the bed and sent a message to Ian. Anne, didn't you say you wanted to court me? How far have you got?" "Brother, if you still want to court, how about looking at the ABS?" Ian typed in the chat box for a long time and finally sent a sentence after a while. "Leo. It's broad daylight. Aren't you ashamed?" I could even imagine Ian's expression at this time. His face remained unchanged, but his ears were almost turning bright red. But I was so unhappy today. I found my biological parents, but they don't like me, and even scolded me. It seems that they only like Max. Also, it's night now. I unreplied instantly. "Leo, in my eyes, you are the most dazzling. You are great and many people will like you. Can I take this as a confession? Are you included among these many people?" A few minutes later, I silently sent a picture. The surrounding light was warm yellow, and it was obviously taken just now. His face was not shown, only up to the chin, and it could be vaguely seen that he was biting the hem of his clothes with his mouth, revealing his well-defined ABS. So seductive. But I have them too. Courtesy demands reciprocity. Here's a little treat for you. Brother, don't get horny looking at my photo at night. I randomly sent him 2 of my after-bath beautiful photos. I unsent a blank text. But I guessed right. In the dark night, Ian opened the photo that he had put in his favorites folder. He started to move his hand, calling the name that haunted his dreams. By this time, I had already fallen into a beautiful sleep. I stayed at Max's family for 2 days and had a White Lotus competition with Max. I won by a narrow margin. The trick? Just keep talking about my miserable 18 years. No father's love. No mother's love. Like a bad cabbage. Kicked by this one and stepped on by that one. If I hadn't fought and been a delinquent, perhaps I would have starved to death in a corner long ago. Even Ryan was moved by me. He took the initiative to care about me, added me as a friend and transferred a huge amount of living expenses to me. Max's face turned green when he saw it. It's not necessary to fight head-on until one of us dies. I've learned it a sentence. Only the crying child gets the candy. Even though I don't want this candy right now. I don't want Max to get it either. 9 back at school. Ian picked me up at the school gate. I ran towards him with a smile. This time it's very satisfactory. I'll give you 10 points. Ian naturally took the bag in my hand. When I was leaving, Ryan insisted on stuffing a big bag of snacks and fruits for me. What 10 points? Ian and I walked side by side on the campus. The wind blew gently, the tree shadows were dappled, and the sunlight shone through the branches. I turned to look at Ian. The boy was as beautiful as jade. Coincidentally, he was also looking at me. My heart was filled with unprecedented happiness. When you get to 100 points, I will agree to your courtship. But at the moment, when I woke up reborn, Ian, you were already full marks. The face of the person in front of me was flushed from the sun. His voice was very, very soft. But I still heard it. Leo, how did you find out that I like you? Ian, your love is too quiet. But I happen to have clairvoyance and clairaudience. So, this time I won't miss it. When you reach 100 points, I will tell you. On the way back to the dormitory, I ran into Jason again. Jason stared at me gloomily. Since I had snubbed him last time, he probably held a grudge against me. I thought you didn't like me. So you've hooked up with someone better. Leo, can you stop being so cheap? I was about to go forward and curse at him, when Ian beside me gently poked me and handed me a bag. Hold it. I took the bag. Before I could react, Ian had already punched Jason in the face. While punching, he adjusted his glasses frame. Jason, right? First, thank you for the compliment. But I don't deign to compare myself with someone like you. Second, remember to be more civilized next time, when you speak. If I hear you say one more bad thing about Leo, it won't be as simple as getting a few punches. After beating the person, I unpatted his sleeves and walked up to me. His face was calm, as if he wasn't the one who had been furiously punching just now. Meeting my astonished eyes, Ian asked softly, "What's wrong? You were so awesome just now. Add another 10 points to you." It was the first time I saw Ian get angry. In the past, he had always been impassive. No matter how much I overstepped, I had never seen him like this. So the cool-headed top student is also very handsome when he beats someone. There's no need for a delinquent like me to take action. When passing by Jason, I casually gave him a piece of advice. You said the young master of the Max family is good? Why don't you go after him? A scumbag and a White Lotus are a perfect match. Jason left in a mess. 10 after the evening class. Ian sent me a link. A flyer for an outdoor music festival. I quickly glanced at it but didn't understand what Ian meant. Me? Ian, do you want to go? I pressed my phone and turned to look at Ian, who was sitting right beside me. Since he was right here, why send a message? Ian, I'm right beside you. Why not just say it directly? What if I didn't see it, and just skipped it? Or you don't actually sincerely want to invite me to go? Ian quickly explained. I do want you to go. He looked at me earnestly. Leo, can I invite you to go to the music festival with me? I can't go without you. That's more like it. I'll reluctantly accompany you there. On the day of the music festival, we sat on the lawn with others, holding fluorescent sticks in our hands. At the intermission, the host announced mysteriously, "Now it's the mysterious performance section. Are you all looking forward to it?" The crowd began to scream and shout, "Looking forward to it," very loudly. I wanted to talk to Ian, but when I turned around, I found that Ian was gone. We were lost in the crowd again. I anxiously looked for him and had no heart to listen to the song. The moment the song started, I suddenly looked up at the stage. Ian was wearing a white suit and about eye, like a prince in a fairy tale. While singing gently, he walked towards where I was. This is a simple little love song, singing about the twists and turns of people's hearts. I think I'm very happy with your warmth. The air around my feet has turned. This is a simple little love song, singing about the white doves in our hearts. I think I'm very suitable to be a singer. Youth is floating in the wind. You know, even if the heavy rain turns the whole city upside down, I will give you a hug. I can't bear to see your back coming. Write down my Li Sao, of the hard to endure seconds like years. Even if the whole world is kidnapped by loneliness, I won't run away. Can't escape in the end when everyone is getting old. Write down my castle where time and the sound of the piano are intertwined. Ian looked in my direction. Although I was standing in the vast sea of people, I felt that at this moment we were looking at each other. I felt that every word and every sentence he sang was for me. After the song ended, Ian picked up the microphone and said again, "This song is for a friend of mine. I hope he can be happy forever and live a long life." The crowd was in an uproar and all screaming for Ian. I squeezed my way out with difficulty and walked towards the backstage. When Ian saw me, he scratched his head shyly. "Leo, you're here." The man who was so charming on the stage just now suddenly became shy at this moment. I magically took out a bunch of campanula flowers from behind and gave them to the sweetheart in front of me. "When did you learn this song?" "Why don't I know?" It was the first time I heard Dian sing. And it was Little Love's song. It was so beautiful that my ears were almost pregnant. When Ian looked at me, there seemed to be stars in his eyes. "Because I know you like it. So I learned it." "Leo, I don't know how to court someone, but I will try hard to learn. I will try my best to give you everything you like." All the lights went out. Only one beam of light shone on the stage, and a new melody gradually sounded around. "Leo, can I kiss you?" "Sure. This is a privilege exclusive to you alone." Ian lowered his head. In the darkness, we kissed among the noisy crowd. All the sounds seemed to fade away from us, leaving only our breaths. 77 Ian. Why do you like me? I'm clearly bad-tempered and my personality is not likable. All of them think I'm a troublemaker and want to get rid of me. Although in the previous life Ian and I were archenemies, I had always seen his excellence. We were like two extremes. I was rotten to the core, while he was wonderful. "Leo, in my eyes, you are always the best. It's just that you are so good that your radiance blinds others, so they can't see it." Ian would always remember how that young man shone brightly. Although he always pretended to be tough, his heart was soft and kind. When he was young, Ian was actually a little chubby boy. In kindergarten, he was always ridiculed and bullied by his classmates and given nicknames. It was that thin young boy who drove away all the bad guys for him. What's wrong with being fat? Do I eat your rice? I think you are just envious that his academic performance is better than yours. Believe it or not, I'll punch your nose crooked. None of the classmates in the carton could defeat him. He was like a little bully, beating others to a pulp. But to Ian, he was like a warm sun. If anyone bullies you again in the future, just mention my name. I'm Leo. Follow me, and I'll protect this whole street. Since then, no one dared to bully Ian anymore. But he never saw that thin young boy again. When he saw him again in high school, Ian recognized him at a glance. He was still that slender figure, with a handsome and delicate face. But his clothes were jingling. What Ian said was too long ago. I could hardly remember it. Leo. My love for you is unconditional. I don't ask for any return. Nor do I expect your response. I don't want you to like me out of being touched. You can choose the one you really like. Loving you is my own business. This is my choice. And I will always stick to it. Ian's words were like a small pebble, causing ripples in my heart. I knew I had a bad point. Whoever liked me, I would like them back. That's why I was disappointed in my family in the previous life and was hurt by Jason's betrayal. I had received too little love. And I couldn't tell whether it was real or fake. But the only thing I could be sure of now was that Ian loved me very much. I've made up my mind. I'll give you an extra 20 points tonight. Ian, you should work hard. There are still the last 20 points left. Ian hugged me. I will work hard. Future boyfriend. Ian thought. This time, I will never let go. You came to me on your own initiative. In the previous life, he silently accompanied me, thinking that I was happy. On the day of my engagement to Jason, he also went there and stood in front of the Max family's gate all night. Leo, as long as you are happy, it doesn't matter whether that person is me or not. He thought I would live a good life. But what he waited for was the news of my suicide. It turned out that I was not happy at all, or even very miserable, and even living had become a vain hope. So in this life, Ian would not let go anymore. He would strive actively. The person standing beside me would only be him. 12. What? So thick? It will be the death of me. I'm going to deduct all your points into negative ones. It's not even that I've chased you successfully yet. And you've already started to control me. How will I live in the future? Ian printed out a thick stack of materials for me, as well as several large professional exercise books. He started to persuade me to study again. In high school, Ian often used his privilege as the class monitor to force me to study. He not only often explained problems to me and corrected my wrong answers, but also knew about my family's situation and would bring me a breakfast every morning. I knew it was neither sympathy nor pity. Without Ian, I might never have walked out of that dark and narrow alley. Leo, I've thought about it. Regarding what you said last time about your biological parents having a bad relationship, I think you should study hard, raise your GPA, and get the postgraduate recommendation quota of the college in your junior year, and go to University A. If they're unreliable, what you need to do is to make yourself strong, no longer rely on them, and not be hurt by this emotion. I will always be on your side. No matter how you choose, I will be right behind you. In the previous life, after I was recognized by the Max family, I had a lot of pocket money every day and also knew the situation of the family company. So I completely gave up studying. Every day I fought with Max, trying to take back everything in the Max family that belonged to me, but only ended up with a battered head. After graduation, Max entered the Max family's head office and worked as an assistant under Ryan, being trained as the future heir. And I didn't even have the qualification to intern in the Max family's head office. Jason grew up at home and is more familiar with the company. You have no experience at all. You are not qualified to enter the head office yet. Go to the subsidiary company and study for a few years first. They are always treating people differently. Max is always given the best. I was assigned to a remote subsidiary company and was always made difficult by the people sent by Max. Every day was like living in hell. Thinking of this, I could only reluctantly accept those materials. Going to graduate school is a brand new and difficult path. But I can completely get rid of Max's family. And I can also have more choices. But Ian, what if I can't study? As a reborn person, my brain is completely not enough. This knowledge just doesn't get into my head. Leo, do you believe me? Of course. I unstudied to portions. He learned quickly by himself, and then specially made a set of study arrangements for me, which was completely suitable for a lazy person like me. Leo, as long as you are willing to use your brain, these are no problems for you. Just like in high school. Actually, you were just too lazy to study. And no one supervised you. So your grades were poor. But in the last few months, actually I didn't do much. As long as I gave you a little hint, you already understood the patterns of those questions. It's the same in college. All that Ian let me study were the essence and key points. And under his supervision, I couldn't skip a single class. Even the subject teachers remembered me. As a result, at the end of the semester, not only did I pass with high scores, but I also got a scholarship incidentally. This is the importance of having a straight-A boyfriend. With this money, I bought a special gift for Ian. Ian, because of your excellent performance, I decide to let you become a full-time boyfriend in advance. Hello, my boyfriend. Looking at my gift, I unblushed. Although we are all adults, we haven't gone that far yet. At most, we kiss a little and hold hands. I like to tease Ian the most. He always looks calm and self-possessed. But actually, the deer in his heart has long been jumping up to the sky. And his ears are redder than a monkey's butt. I took the initiative to open that gift. Ian, let's study together and explore the mysteries of life. Before this, I had watched several porn movies repeatedly. I was determined to win Ian in one go. I had calculated everything. But I miscalculated Ian. How could he be more voracious than I imagined? When I woke up the next day, my voice was hoarse. I wanted to get up and have a drink of water. But I found, Ian, don't you go out? Ian looked at me with a wrong face. And his whole body was covered with scratch marks. Sorry, baby. I really couldn't help it. Little Leo also said he liked it. Is it okay? I lay back hopelessly and calmed down. Woo. You continue. After graduation, I learned that Ian also had a secret. I thought we would be recommended for postgraduate study together, and go to a university together. But he entered the company behind my back and quietly took action against Max's family. Many things have changed drastically. It is different from the previous life but also the same. Jason really hooked up with Max. But he came for the power of Max's family. That idiot Max also believed Jason's sweet words. Stole the secrets of Max's family company and sold them to competitors. Max's family began to decline and, with Ian's push, finally declared bankruptcy. Seeing that Max's family went bankrupt and was in debt, Max directly severed the adopted son relationship. Hung out with Jason all day long, and after having no money, was abused and beaten by Jason. Living a miserable life. And I was well taken care of by Ian. My face was ready and I had a great time. It's just that occasionally my butt would suffer a little. I found that Ian is the kind of person who can coax but won't stop. Our sex life seems harmonious. But actually, both of us are working hard. Recently, Ian and I are discussing renting an apartment together. It should be close to his company and also close to a university. Ian arranged most of the renting matters. He first made a large-scale screening, and finally let me choose the one I liked the most from them. Among all the apartment types chosen by Ian, none of the apartments had a bathtub. Suddenly, as if enlightened, I had a shocking idea. Ian, are you also reborn? Ian, who was sitting upright in front of the computer working, trembled and generously admitted it. I rushed up and hugged this man who had also experienced death once. Neither of us wants a bathtub. Bad things won't happen again in this life. We will both live a long life and all things will go well. So it seems that all the encounters of Max's family are traceable. I kissed Ian in surprise and asked the question in my heart. Was Max's family your doing? Ian hugged me on his lap. Hugged me face to face. And then gently explained everything to me. Actually, I'm very narrow-minded. Even if it happened in the previous life, I still care about it. I don't want you to be sad because of their affairs anymore. I will avenge you personally. They deserve all of this. All you need is to be happy and safe. Leave the rest to me. As he was talking, the man's voice began to choke. Leo. You don't know how happy I was when I saw you again after I woke up. Fortunately, God has given me another chance. I won't let anything bad happen to you again. I hugged the person in front of me tightly. Thank you. Thank you for still being willing to love me. Yen. Can you sing that song for me once more? Sure. This is a simple little love song, singing about the twists and turns of people's hearts. I think I'm very happy when I have your warmth. A gentle singing voice rang out. Our happiness also arrived as promised.